Can we go off camera?
Let's should we all go yeah, I guess all go off camera and let Wayne and Alonia run it from here.
Everyone can go on camera then.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Everyone, that way they can contribute and we can see expressions and
Great.
etc.
Great.
Hi everybody, great job. I usually am pretty much a free form feedback person. My focus is usually on the structural elements, so I'm going to let Elisa or Aliona take care of the other conceptual matters. First of all, let's do free form. What kind of feedback do we have for what we've just seen? Just anything as abstract as you care, or Stephanie, please.
Congratulations and bravo to everyone from the writing to the performing. I have been so surprised because I did see this play months ago, maybe even a year ago, when it was down, what was it, the Evangel Church on the Lower East Side?
Yeah, the Episcopal Actors Guild, yes.
I was very disappointed then, and I am very, very pleased tonight. And I think the rewrites have been wonderful. The characters are really fully developed as people. And the dialogue was very, very natural for each of them. And I can't tell you how very positive I feel about this play. Thank you, Fran, and bravo. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks for sticking with it too. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Rachel, you have your little yellow glove up there.
Yeah, hi. So I'm in Brazen Giant Ensemble with Fran, and so I know part of the story from earlier drafts. And so I'll start with saying that I thought the flow of the story arc worked very well. I hadn't seen the ending before, so that was a pretty cool surprise ending. I was like, wait, what's going on? Oh, okay, it's going to be all right. Basically, some of the dialogues ran a little long, but they all are, the plot points are there. So my most constructive thing would be to say the opening dialogue with the mom. The thing that really jumped out at me as the most engaging was the anecdote about being asleep in the car and them sharing that with the audience. So I would say share some of the anecdotes, not all the anecdotes. And there might be a place here and there later in the script where you can also cut an anecdote off or in half and just like imply the rest of it. And yeah, just a couple of places where one character says something and then the other character says almost the exact same exposition. But I really feel a lot of love for the characters and how they're all trying to get along with each other. The song from Jennifer, that was really nice and unexpected. And you really did the accent very well. I don't know if that's your own how you normally speak or not, but for the character, it came across very well. And I enjoyed the cast a lot. Thought it was well cast. So that's my feedback.
Thank you. Someone else, some feedback, the freeform feedback at present. Anything at all? No?
Lothario.
Who?
Lothario, you got your hand raised.
Yes, I'm trying to get the video on. Give me 1 second.
Oh, Lothario.
I could maybe do it from my end.
Okay.
I could put you in a waiting room. I think you're not in the waiting room. That's why. Okay, here you go. Now you're in the waiting room. Maybe your video is on too, I hope.
Okay. Well, it didn't come on, but can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we could just do it like this. I really enjoyed the show, and I was able to connect with the characters, the free flowing. I agree with the last lady that spoke that some of the anecdotes could be subliminal, as well as some of them could be like kind of cut out and let people kind of figure out what's going on instead of just keep giving it to them. But it sounds like it's repetition. So I agree with that. And as far as well, between Fran and Angela and Tanisha, the fact that those two got together, I think that should be a little longer, and
Yeah.
then do that more, because it just came abruptly. It should be seen. It should seem as if it was built along within Angela. It didn't seem like it was built along. It seemed as if it was spontaneous, and it may have been a way to just cut off their relationship. So that would be my opinion.
Thank you. Stephanie again?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm responding to or the comments that were just made about Angela and Tanisha and Frankie. The previous comments triggered my thought. Frankie did not seem as shocked or disappointed that Tanisha was now more interested in Angela than in herself. And I think there should have been, would have been more of a surprise and disappointment. Frankie just turned around too abruptly after having said how deeply she was feeling about Tanisha.
Thank you, Stephanie. I'm just going to jump in on that point because, as Fran knows, that I've made a comment on that point as well, and I think that's structurally, especially something that needs to be addressed to bring this piece over the hump. I think that you cannot just dismiss Frankie's emotional attachments for Tanisha in any kind of gracefulness. And if so, you have to write that gracefulness into the script so that we understand what she goes through in a moment. If the writing has to be poignant, dense, so that we can go through, okay, I'm going to let go. I'm going to let go. But we don't get that. What we get is a kind of a blithe feeling of, So I think that's something to address, and very important to address, because we've invested the hour in the relationship between them. And as I have said before, I think Frankie rather is I want to say almost dishonoring of us, but not respecting our investment in her. I want to say Tanisha. I'm sorry. I wait. Let me get my there. Yeah, it says Tanisha here, so that's the best I can do. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. That's my character's name.
Yeah,
But my name is Kia.
Yeah, Tia.
Hi, Kia with a K.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in. In playing that part of Tanisha, it that struck out to me as well. Is how it sort of was kind of cut right down the middle. Well, we're doing this now, and
Right.
well, I guess we're doing this now. And I think, and so I think another point to make is to make the other, to make the Black characters a little bit more fulfilled in their personalities, I guess. Because I mean, for me, I'll say that, I definitely wouldn't want to see Black characters being reduced to their trauma. And, I know that's definitely not what Fran was going for at all. But it may come off that way. So I just wanted to make those 2 points. But me and Mom Gladys, we have to go. We have a pre-commitment that we had made, and we weren't aware this would go this long. So we have to bounce.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic job. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Good night.
I say goodbye to your mom,
I will.
Oh,
Bye, Mom.
the other mom.
the other mom.
Bye, Mom.
Any further
Bye, daughter.
freelance comments?
Yeah, hi. This is Sue DiCosola. Is it okay to be recognized?
Who is that?
Sue DiCosola.
Suti Casola,
Hi.
Sure, go right ahead.
friend of mine, a friend of Anthony
Sure.
Barbero's too.
Absolutely.
So I wanted, not to take too much time, but I wanted to congratulate everyone on such a professional job. I mean, the depth of commitment to this has been very, very evident. And I think that, you know, in listening to the comments, there's a fine line between keeping it as a comedy and keeping it light and using identity as a comedic element. I laughed out loud at the scene with Jennifer's being misidentified for one of the love interests. I thought that was very nicely handled and funny. But I agree with everyone about something that I would use the phrase authenticity of emotion. The scene where Winnie cannot let go of her brother's death, to me, was the most authentic. And not to say that you want to fill a comedy with anger, but the range of emotion, I think, you know, with the dialogue that some people ask to be trimmed, you perhaps have opportunity with that to give us a bigger range of what each character has come from, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Any other further comments? I'm going to jump in with some comments that might stir some more. Fran, I think that my feeling in the first scene is that it's too expository and that you don't need it. That you have some really strong points in there. I think somebody mentioned, you know, like
Falling asleep.
Yeah. And like, that's kind of all you need. You want to get into somebody's heart but don't overwork it. And there's a lot of reflection in that first scene where they're recalling this and they're recalling that and recalling this and recalling that. And the problem with doing that is that that's what the scene becomes. Just a recollections instead of touching our hearts. And I think that you don't need it. I really don't think you need it. I think you establish relationships pretty quickly. They're really authentic, and I think you establish them. So I would think of trimming those, and I would especially think of, if you want those in there, put them in the present. Don't make them recollections. If there is a boyfriend you're talking about from the past, put him in the present, instead of saying, oh, I didn't really get off on this guy or something. I would change that to the present and say, I went out with this guy Friday. You know, I whatever happened, but I would put it in the present so that it's alive. It's in the present, not in the past. The more you, because the past is weight that you have to drag along with you. So a lot of my comments had to do with the past dragging into the present, that you could either make present or, and there's even about the cake. Yeah, it's kind of a general point that I would make myself personally about everything. And if I was directing it, the other point I want to make is that I really get your authenticity as an actor. So I think you did a marvelous job. But this is you've written a lot of tenderness and a lot of sweet moments into the piece that I would challenge as a director. You and I were working together. I would challenge as a director if they were comic or not. There is relief for those, for a comic moment, but I think they're very tender, and I think they're very touching. And to give them up for a joke, I don't think it's worth it. I think you can relief relief at times, but I think this is a very sweet piece. There's a lot of sweet things in the transition that occur for an individual. I don't need to tell you that, but that occur. And that those are the things that I want registering with me as opposed to a chuckle. And it's a very tender, because I've seen it, I've read it, I've seen it again now. So it's 3 times that I'm saying, wow, this is a very, very sweet piece, very tender piece. And I get it when you act it, certainly. Linda, please.
Sorry about that. Yes. I appreciate all the comments that have been made. First of all, Fran, what an outstanding job, outstanding writing. This piece is it just speaks to my heart. I came into this later than the rest of the cast. And when I first watched the rehearsal that you sent me, I was blown away. I was blown away by the cast. I was blown away by the story. It deals with very real themes. When you speak about the biases that you had to let go of, and then the dialogue that happens, much of the dialogue that happens in the piece is dialogue that should happen in real life and too often does not. Even if you are someone experiencing biases, it's okay to receive that about yourself. You're not a bad person because of that. It's what you do with that information about yourself and how you handle that discussion with someone else that sees it differently. So that in itself spoke to me, because that is love. And that is really what love is. If I love someone enough to extend grace, to accept the differences, focus on the commonalities, accept the differences, and grow from that. Have a different experience, which will give me a different belief, which will impact my biases. Another thing that I wanted to mention as we talk about the pieces that are more expository, in thinking of expanding this into a series, I kind of think of a technique used in, I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with the show Blackish, but they do recollections often, and it's quite comedic, actually. They handle some really tough themes through that flashback. Very often, the character that's in the flashback is narrating some of the flashback. So there's some of that also that, just throwing it out there as an idea, because I just think it's so rich. I'd hate to lose any of it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
I was thinking that Terrence would come back in a flashback, and it would be an opportunity to explore 1967 all over again with current eyes, and that would be, I guess that was, seeing Summer of Soul brought that up. Questlove's Summer of Soul brought a lot of that back up for me, and thank you for that comment. Did you feel? I have a question of Linda, of Jennifer. Did you, because when Kia said about the about handling, I was always very concerned about whether I handled the Black experience appropriately or did it enough honor or justice. I tried to. I guess I fall short in a number of cases, but for yourself, am I hearing that you were okay with the way I handled it?
Yeah, personally, I thought you nailed it. Now, that's just my opinion, but I really thought you nailed it. There is a range to that feeling, and that feeling can be triggered at any time, just as was mentioned in the piece. And I don't know, it just felt very authentic, very real to me. And the group, the remaining cast, the remaining characters, to be open to helping her work through that really spoke to me. Again, I'm not sure how realistic that is in life, but it needs to be. I feel like this piece demonstrates what should be happening regularly, So for me, you nailed it. Very often, if you're not from our background, it can be cheesy. It can be, it just doesn't come across right. From the beginning, from the moment I saw this, I thought you nailed it perfectly.
Great. I wanted, if I can, Wayne, I wanted to throw that to Winnie too, because Winnie did such a fabulous job too in handling that emotion, that almost a nervous breakdown. I felt myself here is we maybe came out of that a little bit too easily, with the pinch bringing it out, but anyway, I wanted your feelings, Winnie, if you could share that with us.
I agree with Jennifer, and I'll start with as a Black female, I've often thought about this. I mean, I'm the mother of one son, but I have friends who have children that are like now bisexual, whatever they are. And a lot of times that, when you come from like the Black experience, it's like they don't talk about it. It's not talked about, how dare you, but this is the world we live in now. This is the world that we've been living in. This is real. I think you definitely hit on something that it's real. And one of the things I liked about this from the time I got involved was the character of Winnie. A lot of times I joke about being typecast, but I am a nurturing person. And Winnie, I thought Winnie, and the way you portray Winnie, because you give a little background, she's a historian, she's traveled the world. So this is not an educated woman. A lot of times when you don't have the education, then you're not exposed to it. So you don't know what to expect. You think the worst things. But in this case, what I liked about it was Winnie's character, Winnie's loving of her daughter. She loves her child. Her connection with her brother Terrence. And I think this is something she struggled with through the years. She has her sister. Her sister tells you that, can't you just forget about it? And it's not that Winnie doesn't like white folks, because they joke about the Italian boy. It's not that Winnie doesn't like Fran, because she knows her daughter's told her about Fran. But these are some of the real issues and things. And I think personally, I think this is stuff that's not dealt with in a Black family, because you want to push it under the rug. You don't want to know about it and stuff, but you have to. So I think, Fran, you touched on something that from your background, I understand what you say about your racism and that, and even as myself, the woman that I am today, I'm like I am because of how I was brought up by my parents. Okay, so I didn't grow up with racism. I didn't grow up with, my mother used to say there's some bad Black folks, just like there's some bad white folks. So I think that what you're bringing to the table now, it's something that definitely needs to be discussed. I like theater that makes people uncomfortable. If it makes you a little uncomfortable, if it makes you like, then it's good theater. If you get angry, if your character is doing something and you hate that character or you love that character, you've hit it on the nail. That's what live theater is. So I don't know if I answered your question, but back to like this piece, I do like this piece. And what I like about it is the character of Winnie, her relationship with her sister, her relationship with her, even when she meets Carmela, she has these flashbacks about these white Italians killing her brother. That's ugly and that's real. But she's able to go on in life. So yeah, she's dealt with that for a long, she's dealt with that. And I like the idea that you don't have too many family members in there. You don't have you get the visual. Her brother's lying in the street. He was shot. He was kicked by the cop. He shot again. That's real. That happens. Right. It happens every day now, not just 1967, 68.
Right.
So yeah, so you've definitely touched on something. A lot of times, some of the dialogue in it, it's repetitious. Some of it can be trimmed, and that could just be the way that it's being performed, acted. It's kind of hard to act on Zoom, but it's doable, because on Zoom, what you just hear, you're just hearing the words, you're hearing the language. But when we did this like in Harrison, it was kind of nice. Like you do get to feel. I think the pinch during the Lord's Prayer is one of the funniest things in it. Who pinches somebody's ass while you're saying the Lord's Prayer? So I think that is hysterical. And in Harrison, when she yelled like "ow,"
right.
And Gladys and I, my sister and I, we were able to we're doing a lot of facial expressions, so we're looking and this and that. So yeah, Fran, I love it. I think you got something here.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just want to break in and say one of the reasons that, because especially what you're mentioning there, that we wanted to do this is because this piece will make people uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And that's the kind of theater that I like to write. It's the kind of
Mhm.
theater I like to see performed. I think this is, I would call it kind of a sloppy piece at the moment, because it brings so much
Emotion.
again, to deal with. And that's a good thing in theater. I also applaud Fran for being a white male writing this piece because it's so difficult to do so in the American theater at the moment. We're a pretty puritanical theater at the moment. And that's very unfortunate, in my opinion, that, I think that, Linda, you should be able to write about me and I should be able to write about you. And that's just a different point of view. And sometimes it's way off and sometimes it isn't. But I think this one, it keeps tightening, and thanks for the contributions of your cast to help you get more and more information to, enlighten your perspective. We're all racists. I've read enough in my lifetime to know that I'm a racist too. I want to keep rooting it out, but we all have our biases, our bigotries, and our racism, and it all has to it's a never-ending project of rooting it out. And I think that this really tackles it in a way that makes people uncomfortable. I think you got just the Jimmy character here. Yeah, this guy's just full of it. And, it's almost like you're not supposed to write that kind of character these days, but it's perfect that he's in there because he makes people uncomfortable. What's he doing on my stage? Well, I'll tell you what he's doing on your stage. He's on your streets. That's why he's on your stage. And that's the reason that, that he should be there, and that all these uncomfortable things happen. There's a lot of uncomfortable shit in this play. And
downstairs in your mother's basement.
yeah, well, that's a Robert De Niro in what the hell movie was that? Ma! Yeah. Anyway, I applaud you for that. I applaud you for taking
What?
that
Can
one.
I say something?
Absolutely, Chris. Go ahead.
I feel like even the way the world is now, so accepting of gay and trans and all of the things we accept, there are still pockets, there are in my family, that would go crazy if one of my cousins said, I'm gay, I'm trans. And I have a lot of African-American friends in the city whose families would also go crazy. So yes, it is uncomfortable and it's still happening today.
I'd go further, Chris. It's not only uncomfortable, it's dangerous.
It is
There's still people being hung on barbed wire in the Midwest,
Yes,
for
yes.
being trans. It's just, yeah, it's a dangerous world for those who speak out. Edie?
I mean, what I absolutely love about this play from day one are the layers of different things going on: ageism, sexism, racism. But what's so ironic is that Carmela has accepted Frankie as a trans person that has transitions, but is more accepting of that than of Tanasia's age and race. So that's just brings everything, like it's just so like it's just a big bundle of so many layers, and the way you did that, Fran, like I told you from the very beginning, is just amazing to me. So it's not only a layer of trans or race, it also has to do with age and so many things going on. So it's a lot more complicated, yeah, than what people see initially. So I think that, I agree with everyone. There's certain things that can be edited to shorten it and to kind of just get the gist of the vulnerability and the relationships, and you can make it funny and vulnerable and sad at the same time. But that's just one highlight that I wanted to point out.
Thank you, Edie.
Hey, Fran, I also want to add that it was almost 20 years ago now that I had a play put up in Berkeley, California, and I was fortunate enough to have a great cast, a really great cast, people who had done stuff for Sam Shepard and David Parr, who was the head of Actors Equity, directed it. But you know, one of the things he said to me was, well, we need to get it on its feet. And that's what this play now needs. It needs to be on its feet, because you have that whole scene where you're kind of performing for mom for her acceptance. Did I walk well here? That's something that needs to be on its feet so that it can be directed, so you can start, so things can start getting into a third dimension, because that's what this play needs right now. I think it's time, you know, it is time. And that's just kind of a comment I wanted to make now, because there's so much that seems to be, you know, on a Zoom and on a reading that seems to be clunky or whatever it is, that you start, that actually feeds into great performance, because you have to make the leap from here to here. The actor has to make the leap and make the transition, if you will, but I'd rather call it a leap, to go from here to there. And that's what this play needs, in my opinion. Just wanted to offer that.
Well, we're going to be having that opportunity. I think Billy Tucker, I don't know if she's still here. Billy is going to, it's not this play in its entirety, but it's scenes from two plays, at least two plays of mine, including this play. There'll probably be 3 or 4 scenes from this play and 3 or 4 scenes from another play I wrote called Once a Boy, which is an autobiographical play. And then there may be another scene. So anyway, we're going to have the opportunity to do that in a theater with, and hopefully many of the cast members here. And I want to I want to really give my heart out to all these cast members. Everyone is really, you know, and even the smaller things, like Christopher is played by Phil Messina, who it was one of his first, I don't know if I'm saying this right or you even want me to say something like this, one of his first acting assignments. And because of Anthony Valbiro and his direction and his stuff, we got him in. And then it wasn't until just the other night that we worked out that thing with the door and the knocks and stuff like that. So, and it turned out he was my love interest at the end. You know, I mean, it was like really, this was a magical kind of experience. And Jennifer, as the co-president of Harrison Players, has been just so, she stepped in when Misty, who played my mother in Harrison, couldn't do it. And because of, she's doing something right now, someplace else. And she stepped in and said, well, you know, it's funny because that's my friend. It's awkward maybe. But Misty understood. And Jennifer, you did such a fantastic. And you know what? Each part of everyone, what I like most about playwriting, and it's somewhat, and I'm sure this is the case with you, Wayne, and everybody else who's writing or acting, it's like a reflection of your life, and you get to see parts of your life. While I was getting my hair washed and blown earlier, while I was being blown, I was reading through the script again. And next to me, in the next chair, was a 92-year-old woman, and her daughter was with her, you know, for the day. And I was watching the relationship between the two of them. And I couldn't help. I started like crying a little bit because in sorrow for her, because this vibrant woman, who my mom was very vibrant like that, a couple of years from now, she won't be alive. She's like 92, or maybe it's 4 years, maybe hopefully it's 10 years. But at some point we lose our loved ones. And and that's the other part of this play that I am very. I went through losing two parents, and I know a lot of people do lose their parents and everything. For me, it was, and my younger brother, and that was very traumatic for me. And I'm still, because I was rushed kind of in my life to move on to the next thing, I never really dealt with the um, what is it called? PSD, whatever.
PTSD.
PTSD from the deaths in my family. And also, it's only now that and so I'm just giving it up to all of you for helping me heal myself too. And this is like a big part of it. By the way, incidentally, as a trans person, when I was 30 years old, and I've, survived it, but I was hit over the head with a baseball bat 3 times and someone tried to kill me. And I was left on my store floor in a pool of blood, dead. But I lived through it, and stuff. And from that experience, I learned forgiveness out of that, because it was very, very difficult to forgive that person. But people around me helped me understand how to learn forgiveness. So anyway, I didn't want to get soapy and stuff like that, sappy or whatever, but appreciate all of that. And Wayne, I so appreciate your comments, and it was your comments at the second reading that were very, hit home. And I still need, obviously, but your comments today were excellent, and I do need to come more into present and trim it a lot and everything. So anyway,
Let's answer. We got two hands are up here. Winnie, I see
Yeah,
your
I just
yellow
wanted
glove. Your yellow glove.
okay, let me lower my hand. I just want to say, and Fran, this is to you. When I got this script and I read it, I immediately connected with my character and I understood the script. But I got to give you a heads up. A lot of people think I can sing. I'm not a singer. And when I saw he had Mahalia Jackson, I said, of all religious gospel people to pick, you picked Mahalia Jackson and you picked one of her songs I didn't know. So my suggestion to you would be, you got to pick a Mahalia Jackson song I know, and I have to learn how to sing. But I want to say that I get it. I love this. I love the cast. It was a blast. I'm here for you, and just keep doing what you're doing, because trust me, I know, like in the African American community, stuff like this is very uncomfortable. Even culture. I'm African American, but if you take a West Indian culture, what other culture, especially now, even like the language, I'm getting used to. I don't know what pansexual, binary means. I grew up with either you're heterosexual, you're a lesbian. I mean, nobody uses the word dyke anymore. So it's like you have to like step up your game. It's just like my computer skills. Like I'm retired now, so I'm lacking on my computer skills. So you got to kind of pick up with the lingo, and you have to just know what's going on. And it's important for us to be sensitive to other people.
I just want to interrupt that my ex, Quinn Warren.
Yes.
Yeah, she got almost driven off the road being called a dyke and a fucking dyke and all of that like 2 days ago. So the word is still in play, baby.
Oh, it is? I don't know.
The word is
but like I said, I treat people the way I want to be treated. I accept people the way they come to me, because to me, that's what we're supposed to do. Who are we?
I'm just kind of throwing.
I must leave because I have to get ready for something else. But thank you, Wayne. Good seeing you. Everyone else, and Fran, let's keep in touch.
Thanks.
Chris,
We will.
Chris, Jimmy,
Thanks very
Jennifer,
much.
love you all.
Bye,
Thank
honey.
you.
You.
Okay, take
Great
care.
job.
See you till we meet again.
Let's hear from you, Linda, when you're ready.
I
Yes.
wanted to just add something quickly about the Black experience with this play. And I thought that, and maybe it's probably a good thing that it didn't happen already, but there are there are three Episcopal churches in New Rochelle. One that I'm a member of, which is a little white church on a hill kind of thing, and we have about 25 or 30% of our congregation, which is much smaller now than it used to be, is African American and stuff. But there are two other churches which are 95% or almost 100% African American. And I went and I know about those churches because my daughter is in the food pantry program, brown bag program. She's helped for a number of years making and feeding the homeless in those churches. And I know a lot of people in those churches. Well, it turns out that the priest in the white church, so to speak, is now the priest of the group of the churches, the three. And I was hoping, wow, that's a great opportunity for me to do my play on their stage. So I went there one day with Jennifer Ricci, right, and Anthony, and we went there, and I was thinking that all of a sudden they would be, open, because I had been talking to one of the people in like one of the deacons or whatever in one of the churches, and I was expecting that they would love it, love doing the play. But I think a lot of it is that they're uncomfortable with maybe not the white black, maybe they were uncomfortable with the trans or dealing with the ageism or with the working class or with the Italians, whatever. So this is very uplifting for me too, because it lets me know that people come to the table at different times. And it's important for me to not give up in certain, and it doesn't mean anything when some people aren't accepting or.
Fran, let me ask you a question. You went there with who? You went there with yourself, Jennifer, white Jennifer.
Jennifer's in the room right now, and Anthony.
You went with three white people.
Three white
people. A play and a black. I'm not just speaking for black people at all, but I'm speaking for people. We want stuff. I want stuff that represents my community, and if it looks like almost a form of colonialism, unless you bring some, bring some.
Well, I saw that the cast had black people in it, and in fact, I was trying to enroll. The idea was in this church, they have a good stage, and they have a number of people that I was trying to enroll.
Well, I'm just talking
to enroll them.
I'm just talking about almost in terms of sales. You bring you bring what you need with you.
Yes, it's all in the presentation.
Yeah, absolutely. You bring your, if you have black members of the cast, you bring them with you. If I'm trying to do whatever I want somewhere, I've got to bring that with me.
Very good point.
I think because you do much better. I used to live across the street from a black church called the Love Chapel in San Francisco. It rocked, man. That place rocked. But and I'd go over there, every Sunday, or I wanted to. And I brought a friend over there who was a writer, but he brought his black spouse. And they got involved. They got involved. So I think you have to reflect the community to which you want to enter. Linda, you've been waiting a while. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. I wanted to appreciate you, Fran, because in working with you, what I experienced and what I enjoyed about it, you expect high quality and you demonstrate high quality, and you do it, and you're never nasty about it. And that is a beautiful thing in this business. So I applaud you for that. Thank you so much. Like I said, I came into this late. I also am not a singer, but I'll sing. Like if somebody asks me to sing, I'll sing. But I'm just so happy to have been a part of it. And you're going to face rejection. You're going to face criticism, just like what you faced with the church for whatever reasons. Don't stop. Just don't stop.
Right.
You've got us behind you. Don't stop.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you all. And Eliza, do you have anything to that you would like to add to us or ask of the people?
Well, there is a comment from NR right now.
What?
There's a comment from NR.
Oh, a comment from NR. Okay. Oh, NR. Okay, I'm sorry. Is that something I should read? Maybe is it?
Oh,
Yes.
It's a chat. Fran, can you keep us informed as to how to get the video of this? I know a talk show host that I would like to introduce you to. If you can work with him, it may be helpful to both of you. He's Italian, but no longer a religious Catholic, and married for the first time in his life at 61 after his dear mother is diagnosed with suffering from Alzheimer's. Yeah, sure, I can get, there will be a video of this. And it will be, I have pieces of video from rehearsals and from this, and I'm not sure yet how to present it. And, but I will have something as long as everyone is okay with that. I think everyone probably would be. We would trim out the, trim it. But yes, and mostly from a standpoint of developing it further and making contacts like that, like what she's talking about. And I guess she's saying if the video, because if I am on that person's talk show, he may show clips, or so, probably.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Fran, I just wanted to tell
Oh,
you.
this is Ann right here. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you, I've seen so much progress. Thank you so much.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for sticking with it like that. Very good. Very good. Yes, Ann was in the initial Zooms that we would do at the Episcopal Actors Guild. That was like in the real, like a couple of years ago. I want to read this out because it's from Armand. I really respect Armand Paganelli. If it's okay to read it. Gotta go. He left at 5:03, so he only left a few minutes ago. So he's here for really most of the talk too. Congratulations on creating this piece. I think you are on a good path for a successful production with it once it's on its feet, like Wayne had said, and able to grow organically. All the best. That is a very nice comment.
and Joanne has a comment. Her yellow
Yes,
her
Joanne.
glove is up. You're on mute, Joanne. I don't know. It's not showing, but you're on mute.
Okay.
Okay, am I on mute now?
No,
you're good. You're good.
You can hear me? Hi. I'm a friend of Fran for quite some time, like a personal friend from she and her daughter. Just two comments. First of all, I really enjoyed the message. And I can't tell you enough how that message between cultures, people accepting people should be out there more. And that's just the perfect message throughout your play. And I'm no expertise in this department whatsoever. But I just wanted to address one thing. Well, there was a few things that I agree with the gentleman who made a lot of great critiques, was the part that I seen Fran do his comedy act, and everybody tries their best. There was one part that just felt to me when he was talking to his mom, and he starts saying, Dad, you know about the LGBT? And oh, I like the bacon, lettuce, but I don't like the et cetera, et cetera. There's always a point when you're with your family and you're talking about something that's very hard to talk and discuss with a parent. And they don't want to hear it. They hear it, but they don't want to hear it because they don't understand it, because maybe they're not educated. They don't understand it. You bring what you grew up with in your brain, and you got your own little, I want to say, your little mental block. Is sometimes you have to make a joke. Maybe the way a friend executed the joke could be tweaked, but I think you have to make a joke and add a little comedy to soften the blow or the conversation that you're having when discussing something pertinent, important, and that's a makeup. I don't know if that's a great remark, but it was something like, I just felt like, I know growing up, I mean, I'm not transgender or any of, I'm me, I'm heterosexual, but I experienced it where, interracial marriage, I have an interracial daughter. So it's a similarity. It's something where my parents like, that's a no-no, and trying to make light of a situation that's a serious situation because your parents, whomever brings you up, has their way of thinking, and very hard to like not have them say to change their mind, but to accept you and your lifestyle of what you are, what you love, and who you are, because we all bleed red and all our poop stinks. So sometimes when you have to make a joke, because it's the only way sometimes to cope is to make a joke.
Yeah.
Hey,
just and that's it. So thank you, and thank you everybody.
Coming in.
I enjoy
Joanne,
every
let me
character.
add something to that comment, especially for you, Fran. When I was reading this play, when I was reading it, I thought that you had an extra line in there that you didn't need, and it's specifically about this joke. It's the yada 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 LGBT, and then you had Frankie repeat the line. Not the line, but a comment on the line, and then have the character repeat the line. And I mean, this is very dramaturgical, but I don't think you needed Frankie to intervene. I think you let the actor do the first part of it, LGBT, and then lettuce and tomato and blah blah, and that's the joke. When you inserted Frankie, you're drawing too much attention to it, and you're saying, "Hey, audience, I'm going to tell you a joke," and applaud me, the playwright, for giving you the joke. So, and on stage and on screen, you don't need it, and the actor can handle that very easily. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's specifically a note that I had made and just failed to bring up right now. Anyone else? Comments from anywhere?
Can I read some of these that people had written in? Maybe some of them.
Absolutely.
Maybe they've gone. Renoir. Am I pronouncing his name okay? Renoir. I think it's a friend. Anyway, Renoir said, "I am fine." Renoir is having the problem with the audio, not me. Oh, okay. Right. So it wasn't a. It was a. I'm in, but no video. Icavelli said hello. Cindy Seville said, "Hi, everyone. So excited to see this. Absolutely love Fran and love supporting all her endeavors." Stephanie has you put your email in here. And how can I save these chats? Save this whole chat? I guess
that I do not know.
Okay, I'll
else now
figure that out. I think I have Stephanie. I think I have your.
You can take a screenshot of the chat
Oh yeah,
piece by
right.
piece.
Yes.
Right.
Or you can get in there and copy paste it into a text document or a Word
Okay,
document.
good. Very good. That's right. I have done. Icavelli says, "Great job. I've seen this. I've seen one of the first performances in October 2021. That was at the Actors Guild on 29th Street. The characters really connected here, really flowed, and loved the ending." Phyllis says, "Great show, everyone." Menage.
I don't think it's Menage, but go ahead.
Manja or mine, whatever, to everyone. Great show. Gladys, so sorry to Fran, but Kia and I have to take off for another event. Bravo to you, and thank you. Thanks to the ensemble. We got to jump. So they had to go. She told us that Lou Asagari said, "Great show." Rachel, you're here. Some of the anecdotes, not all of them. I guess about your comment before. Hi, Fran. Please
It
send
was
me.
at the same time that Wayne was making the same point, and so I was just confirming it. Some of it's just notes. Yeah.
Right, but also responding to feedback from other people from the cultures you are portraying. Good stepping up. Stephanie, you said you had to leave. I don't know if you left already, but my website is if you're still here, Cisco with an S.com. And all of my stuff, my phone number, email, everything is up on that website. So it's no spaces, Fran, and then Cisco, SISCO.com. Elaine Hartle said, must leave, wonderful, touching, funny, and well-performed play. Could use some trimming, as was suggested. Yes, but hope it goes on for many successes. Very nice comment. Thank you. Anne said, thanks everyone. Keep the faith. Armand, I read before. Cindy, I read. I got to these. Ann Richardson, I read about the person. Linda, Rachel said, Linda, you were on key for the bridge change, greatest love of all. So you got it. Okay, that's a nice comment. Josie, to everyone, congratulations, everyone, and all the very best with this piece, Fran. Jennifer, to everyone, thank you so much. Rachel, you responded to that. Judy, great job by everyone. Thank you. I think that's probably Judy Tucker, hopefully. And Jimmy has some questions. Yes, you have your hand up. I'm sorry. Okay.
All right. It's not really a question. It's
all right, I'm sorry, comment.
Before I sign out, I just wanted to say I really enjoy this role. Obviously, I get to have fun with it. And while what Jimmy has to say might come across as racist to some or unfeeling, I feel the character doesn't have a mean bone in his body. That's the way I'm trying to play him. He's obviously accepted his brother, but he's not above teasing him about it either, which is what an older brother would do in any circumstance. So I just want to say
you played that really well, and you played it really well. Yes. And I think that's the way I really wrote it too, is that he wasn't deliberately racist. Almost none of us are, right? No, I shouldn't say that. Many of us, some of us are, but in fact, but some people are clumsy about it, clumsy about how they explain or express themselves. And I think you played that character so perfectly.
Thank you. Thanks.
Phil, really did. And played it better than I probably sought out to write it. You know what I mean? I was planning to write it that way, but by the way, I want to add, the people who have played that character have played it well. Ernie Mignon did the early versions of Jimmy. He couldn't do the one that we did at Actors Guild, so Gene DiNapoli stepped in and did it then when Dakota.
Did he? Yeah. Really?
Gene DiNapoli played the part of Jimmy. I have video that I'm putting together on that.
Oh my God.
Was really incredible and was very helpful actually to me in us going down to the Actors Guild. We did it on 2 times. We rehearsed it, and that was the first time back from COVID. The place was shut, and it was the first time back. And we went down, and Gene was very helpful to me. And I was going through a lot when writing this script and having some issues and problems with handling the deaths in my family. When we were there, I couldn't keep my lines. I just couldn't retain my lines. And I chalked it up to me being so emotionally invested in it. Maybe it was also I wasn't prepared enough. I had a lot of other things going on. But Gene was very helpful in carrying Jimmy so well, and the other people carried the other characters so well that I was the only one with script in hand. So I was very embarrassed about that, but I could not let this, I didn't have it on all the time. But anyway. So everyone who's played Jimmy so far has been extraordinary. And so, and you, Phil, are, definitely at the top of that. You all three of you was so fantastic in playing it. I think the play is a better play now than it was before, and so it shows even more now. But I want to thank you so much for staying true to who you thought the actor, the character was, and that did work, and it was really done very well.
All right, thank you. Take care, everybody.
All right, take care.
Good night.
Bye. Good night. Good night. We still have a number of people here, or not?
Joanne has a no?
Oh.
No, I
You got to just lower. Let me try to lower that for you.
yeah.
The hand.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's see. How do I look?
I don't know.
Raise hand, lower hand.
I can't.
Lower hand. Here we go. Oh, I raised it again.
Thank you.
All right. Anyway.
Thank you. Good night.
All right. Lower hand. Here we go. Okay.
Fran, I'd like to ask Wayne a question.
Sure.
In my thinking, this to me reads like a one act. Does it to you? Because I would say that, I mean, I've done a lot of straight plays, and it's not, to me, not long enough for an actual play from start to finish, with an hour for the first act, an intermission, and an hour for the second act. You know what I'm getting at?
Absolutely. There's a lot of places that call for, submission, and they'll say full length, and they'll say one act, and a cutoff point. And I've had a couple of plays of my own is 60 minutes.
Right.
Yeah,
I
it's
would even
right there.
say 50
So,
on
I
one
think it's much more advantageous to call it a short full length.
Mhm.
In fact, I put in the some of the announcements that it was 1 hour, because I know people are much more willing to, especially on Zoom, to go for 1 hour than they are for full length. And since there is no intermission, you wouldn't want to have an intermission. It moves fast paced. You really don't want an intermission in this piece. Yeah, I would call it either. I would like event language for wherever it was being put up. You know, he's a
Produced, yeah.
full length, 1 hour, one act. Yeah, that's what I would do, because basically because that's what I need to do.
Does the length seem to be okay? I think Chris is saying maybe it should be extended, or does the length seem
Not
to feel-
necessarily,
No, not
Fran.
necessarily.
It's that some things, like they were saying in that first scene, could be shortened, cut.
Yeah.
But then there's other places where you could expand a little bit more
Yeah.
on some of the other characters.
Right.
Yeah. I
Um,
should- mhm.
Overall,
I
I
was
would
just
like to keep it
curious.
to the 1 hour. If
As a
Yeah, I was
general,
If
curious
you
to
were
like,
going to expand it, though, you would want to, some people addressed, establish more of a maybe they're not perfect for each other all the time, because they were so copacetic as girlfriend and girlfriend in the story, that there was like no hint that they were going to break up until they said, you know what? I want to explore a little bit more with this other person because I'm afraid of commitment or whatever. So if you were to expand it, you would want to add a few more hints that things are not always perfect with Tanisha and Frankie. But they do enjoy each other a lot as friends.
as a general response, and I will say this for almost every work I've ever encountered, I would say reduce, do not increase. People say, oh, I wish there was more of that. And my response to that is then go view another play, because this is the play you're given. And I don't think expanding, then you start putting in words like, people do that, well, I'm going to go to the store, instead of cutting out some of those words in there. You don't need them. The impact of drama is to make it denser, not to string it out. You can handle that relationship with Tanisha in seriously less than a few lines. So that's not a matter of expanding the play unless all of a sudden you had this burst of, creativity where you wanted to place, oh, I had this scene, I've got to get it into the play. That's a different matter. But just to expand something, no, I think, in my opinion, it's always reduce, cut, make it denser and denser and denser. If you can cut 2 words down to 1, you're doing a better job. And
I actually also, I wanted to add, I think that's a good point, Wayne. And I wanted to also add this, is that the way I felt about the relationship, I mean, Key did a great job, in acting and the role that was defined. But Frankie, the relationship was in weak hands. Frankie's love for her was part an intellectual exercise of getting rid of racism, and and all of a sudden found herself liking this black girl. But there wasn't really, I don't think it came across, if it did, it was by accident, any real dramatic thing between the two of them. Chemistry, I don't think they really had strong chemistry. And it was easy for Frankie to lose her. That's what, even though.
Well, I'll play devil's advocate in that. If you throw 2 people together as lovers, then that's what we're going to assume. And we're not going to assume this intellectual backstory that you have. It's not on the page. So we're not going to assume it. We're going to assume that they care about each other. And that's a far more moving thing for us to feel than an intellectual attraction. Also, the intellectual attraction, to be honest with you, makes Frankie shallow. It makes Frankie shallow, exercising an intellectual exercise at the expense of somebody he is disingenuous about. I don't think
right. Well,
I don't think that should be what
maybe it should be explored with Jimmy. Maybe Frankie has to have a come to Jesus moment with Jimmy about what Frankie really feels about Kia, or about not Kia, but Tanasia. And maybe I agree, it has to be, but I want the character of Frankie, like I think most of us, is sometimes in love with or do things that are for other reasons beside the reason that's right in front of them.
Again, as devil's advocate, I would say, if I'm the actor, right? I'm a professional actor. You give me the role, and here are the yada yadas, here are the circumstances, here are this. As an actor, I'm going to choose the strongest possible motive, strongest possible objective, and I don't give a damn what my director says. I don't give a damn what the playwright says, because this is what's going on between these 2 actors, and the relationship is always the strongest thing that's going on stage. And I don't think you can just write that out. I don't think you can write that out. You put those 2 people together, you say that she has a relationship with Tanisha, rather, then I think that's there. And that's what the actor is going to go for, not an intellectual spin, unless it's there on the page. You got to put it on the page, and it's got to be in the dialogue, and then it's, like I say, it takes a little bit away from who Frankie really is. Frankie seems to me a person who is all heart.
All her, you said?
Heart.
Heart with a T?
Heart with a T, driven by her heart, yeah, not by some intellectual exercise.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Yeah. That's just my opinion, obviously.
No, I know, but it's really makes sense, and it's something that I don't know. If it's for sure not clear, my part of it, the way I say about why Frankie would dump her, and
Well,
not
she dumps him.
yeah, but
Yeah, I know.
it's like, okay, all right, so
Yeah.
good luck, have a good time. It was like Frankie wanted to get out of it, but didn't express it, was disingenuous, about it.
Well, if I was the actor, I wouldn't be playing it that way. If I was the actor and I'm Frankie and I'm being dumped, my choices would be to say, okay, as a noble spirit, but you would see the tears coming down my face. You would see me breaking apart that she was leaving me.
Okay.
Trying to be generous, trying to be noble, trying to be maybe all those things that were male, prescribed in a background, but you would not see me choose to be blithe about it whatsoever.
Okay.
Not as an actor, certainly not. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think you're running into trouble too, making it easy for Frankie to do that, because then you're running into some serious, in my opinion, serious metaphorical colonial comparisons. I'm just trying things out with Tanisha. Let me just see if it's and that doesn't seem to be what you're writing about at all. That just at all. And she seems to be, and we want to care for Frankie all the way, and we do. Yeah, we're really empathizing with Frankie. I know I'm talking too much. I apologize.
No, you're not. No, it's Josie, did you have something to say?
Hello from Melbourne, Fran. How are you? Hello from Australia. What I wanted to say is, yes, hello. I wanted to say congratulations, first of all. I know as a writer, it is sometimes when you're in your own head and the characters are your own voice when you're writing them. Right. So well done in the portrayals. Being from an Italian background and being that my family's from Calabria, I certainly got.
Wow, that's
So I certainly got the in-jokes within our community. But yeah, really, really well done. It's great that you've had an opportunity to flesh it out here, and it's great that Wayne's given you that opportunity. Yes. I really think now you're ready to go. Put it on the stage, Fran. No, it can be something too that writers can go, I need to keep hearing it. I need to keep hearing it. I want to make sure, and then you second guess yourself. Now it's time to put baby on the stage. Let her walk, let her stumble, but she'll get up and she'll find her way. She's like a little toddler at the moment, or a little one just trying to learn to walk. She's a bit fumbly. She's given all this advice by the aunties and uncles. Now it's up to you as the mama to put her on the stage and trust that she can do it. Because the words are there. And when you get it in front of a live audience, it's a different energy, because Zoom, we're muted. So if we're laughing, you don't know. So in your mind, you're going, I don't even know if that line is hitting, because people are muted. You don't know. Right. And you can't see our faces either. Because there was some parts that I was laughing, that one about the cheese, a speck. And she's going, what? You mean the sort of cheese that she was talking? Yeah, so great. But if we were in the audience, we'd be laughing out loud if we understood. Yeah. So it's community specific in some parts. And I always say Italian culture and the Black community, we're very close. It's a very similar culture in the way we view family, in the way we view things, how things are swept under the carpet, because it's easier to deal with things that way. Right. So I really love it. But yeah, let her fly now. Let your baby fly, and don't think too much about it. If people don't like it, they don't like it. That's good. It means you did a great job in making, I've had people say to me, I don't like your play. I didn't get it. Good. It's not for you then. Adios.
The last, thank you so much, Josie. The last thing that Wayne said hit hardest. And it's the thing that will consume my energy in getting it better before going on the stage. And I don't think I'm going to have a problem with doing it. But this matter about Frankie more easily dumping Tanasia because Frankie, she wasn't really into it. I mean, she was into it, you know, she kind of was like puppy love kind of thing, but was only staying in it because of, and maybe initially attracted to it because of this issue about curing the racism from within. Maybe the way for me to deal with that is that that's what I thought. And then what happened was that just as I was coming around to really falling for her and investing in the relationship, she dumps me. And so then maybe that handles both ways of it, you know, that I can actually then have more emotion, feel it more, and maybe the audience would be with me more about that than if I, you know, just was too easy with it. So anyway, but that was but I think I'm ready I want to get, I'm glad you said that. I want to get it on the stage, you know. And actually, I don't know if they might not, they're probably not in, Judy might be in here, but it's a version of some of it is due to be on the stage at Ozzie Davis Theater in New Rochelle, which is like a 200-seat theater.
Hey, Fran.
Yes.
You know, if Frankie is less aware of her, is less aware of her racial intention with Tanisha, so that she thinks she's in love with her, like you're saying, until she comes to as you say, comes to Jesus moment where she realizes, oh my God, I'm not that in love with her. I'm playing out some role or something that you can write. It would need to be a deftly written piece, but that keeps her genuine. You know, it keeps her genuine. And a lot of us come to you, I mean, a lot of us do that. We think we're in love with someone, yada, yada, yada. It goes along. Right. Oh my fucking God. I'm not really interested in this, or I don't really love her. This is what I actually wanted out of it. What a creep I am, you know, that sort of thing.
There were
some sort of twist in her character, which also, of course, is a primary requisite of a leading character, that you have some sort of change in their art.
Good. That's good. Very good. There is a part in her conversation, scene 1, with the mother, where she recognizes with the mother that maybe I'm really maybe I'm in love with her because I'm trying to cure myself of some racism. Like, she wonders that, but it's not you know, clear enough and stuff. So but anyway, that what you just said makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Josie?
Fran, this is my piece of advice, writer to writer, payazan to payazan.
I love the pronunciation of payazan.
You love it, payazan.
In New York, it's a paisan.
I love it. I love it. Trust yourself, because if you get too many opinions by so many voices, then your character will lose its original intention. Really sit within your heart space and really think about the direction of Frankie. What is the purpose of this relationship? And then that'll guide you with what you need to write for her. Because if you get this, and this, then she becomes inauthentic and no one's invested in her story. No one cares, and they go, okay, well, it makes sense the girlfriend left her. Whereas it's like, no, we're invested in Fran, and here's the Black community coming together, the Italian community, they're talking over their prejudices, they're making this lasagna. I know that thing, you know, you make the sausages, the wine, the tomato sauce, that's where everything gets fleshed out. I get that. So to lose that very quickly, so just think about the intention. We've all had that deep love, or we've all thought that it was something more than what it actually was. You just need to find Frankie's voice. I think it's great, the feedback everybody's given you, but don't get confused by too many voices. And that's all I have to say.
I think that's very well put. Very well put.
Okay. All right. I'm looking, I'm going to hand it to Judy. Judy, do you have some comments to say?
I love the comments that Josie just put out. You and I have talked about this before. Expanding the play was another good point, but fleshing out the character for Fran is more important than any of the other characters at this point, because there's so much going on, and to see it in a reading or staged is really going to help you with the other characters and the length of the play. But what we talked about, finding Fran's voice and keeping Fran's voice, like we talked about the poem creativity, and aligning yourself with that space that you were in when you wrote that, finding that for this character, which you read that poem so beautifully too. I mean, even over the phone, it was amazing.
Incidentally, thank you. Incidentally, about that poem, this is a poem that's, you write a lot of poems in your life, right? I've written a couple of hundred, few hundred. And when I wrote this particular poem called "Oh, to Be Uncreative," it was when I was about 30. No, I was probably older. Maybe I was 40. And I just had another big failing. Another thing I put a lot of money in, a lot of time in and everything. And it failed. And I turned to the mirror that was in my office at the time. And I spoke a poem to myself in the mirror, saying, you were doing all this to me. You, my imagination, you, my nemesis. And I went on in the poem to describe why I should stop being a creative person because of all the trauma and heartache that it led to, the lack of money or the loss of money or time or whatever. And I shared that poem with Judy, and that's what she's talking about. Incidentally, it's maybe too strong of a coincidence, but I chose that poem for the showcase at Ozzie Davis Theater, and I've got to send in the tape in the next few days.
Oh.
So that was, but it was then that in delivering that poem that I felt I found myself in, at least at that year or that decade, and when I go back to it, it helps me capture how I felt so strongly then. So maybe that things like that will help me find what it is. And as my other play called Once a Boy helps me find who I am. I don't mean to say that I'm such a confused person, stuff, but I definitely like many people question a lot, and need maybe some direction. And Judy was very, very helpful one evening talking about things like that. And also that we're going to do scenes from a couple of plays in Rochelle at Ozzie Davis. Did I put words in your mouth, Judy, or whatever? Is that what you were saying?
You did not put words in my mouth, no.
Okay, good. All right, thank you. All right. I was so moved by meeting her, and it got me to a new level. And then also for us to share the importance of speaking your feelings and expressing yourself, sometimes in plays, sometimes in poetry, sometimes in poems, whatever it is, or just in regular conversations. It's like such an important thing to do. And too often I find that I didn't do it. I but I honored my brother's birthday 2 days ago, who passed in 2004, and that's a case every time I think of it, that he passed away without me really truly expressing myself enough to him. You know, it's my brother, my younger brother. Nor he to me, I think. But you know, so too much time goes on. So luckily with my parents, I did get to express that, and I think with my wife and my daughter too. So I don't feel as much guilt or regret, you know, about that. So anyway, sorry for taking up time with that kind of personal stuff, but yes, Jennifer or Wayne, I think is about to say something.
I just wanted to say, for me, it doesn't come through as any confusion. We rediscover ourselves all the time, and that is the joy of life. That is the joy of experiencing, just having experiences. So I'm really learning a lot hearing your creative process and all of that. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't come off as confusion at all.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thanks for.
I have something to say, Fran. I don't know, this is like off the wall probably to everybody, really off the wall. But there's a reality that, you know, a guy has a penis that is on the outside and he's very vulnerable. And the woman has a vagina, which is on the inside. So she's very protective. So the guy is going to want a good garage to put his car in. And the woman's going to want a good car in her garage. And I think, I don't know, I think that's just
Talk about simplifying things.
that's a basic human thing that we're trying to say it doesn't exist, and it does.
Yeah, but some people might say that that their car that they want in their garage is really a convertible, so that you could really do both things to it, or some, you know, or you know what I mean, or that the garage is really under, you know. Anyway, no, I don't mean to make fun of that at all, and I appreciate that. Whatever helps people get through what becomes very confusing. This binary, non-binary thing is quite confusing, and quite frankly, I think that I feel lucky to have in my lifetime expressed myself, because I was just a cross-dressing young boy. You know what I mean? And I happen to have a beautiful, wonderful wife for so many years. You know, I'm still married actually, but we don't relate to each other as husband and wife at all. And I had the opportunity to see life from a completely different, and not of obviously as true to being female as I should be or as I could be, you know, and all those fake kind of ways in which femininity are portrayed or masculinity are portrayed. But I had the opportunity in one lifetime to basically live as two people, and with all its failings and trappings and all of that, and also to come close to living in two different sexualities, you know, although I'm, you know, I really don't express as a gay man, I came to understand it better because I pushed my brother away because he was gay. You know, I know that I did. I know that I did that. And he pushed me away because I was trans. So ironic, you know, a gay man and a trans woman couldn't, and who were brothers, couldn't get it really together. But anyway, I feel really blessed that, so now with that blessing, I wanted, like, I do a lot of motivational talking and this and that and write a lot of songs and stuff like that. But I think this play is probably the closest I've come to really fulfilling what is a responsibility, I feel, on my part of enlightening people who are family and friends of trans people, family and friends of Black people, family and friends of old people, and all, and I know you all as gifted artists and writers and stuff are doing the same thing, you know. So anyway, from my little vantage point, that's what I'm trying to do, and I hit on this particular play and my other play called Once a Boy to do it, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try to do it as good as I could do it, you know, and with all the wonderful help, collaboration of all you people, it's like really extraordinary, you know.
Oh, you know, we've been on here for a long time, and you know, I haven't been on a meeting that has really had this much interest. It's, you know, you're doing your job. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very
well,
much.
thank you very much. I guess that's a good segue to Wayne, if you want to wrap it up, you know.
Yep, I think we're gonna wrap it up now. So thank you very
Aliona,
much.
if you want to, or Eliza, did you want to say anything from your perspective as a writer and as executive director of?
No,
No.
all I want to say is thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
participating in this reading and for providing with this wonderful feedback.
Thank
So
you.
that's pretty much a wrap.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And is Wayne not on the Zoom anymore? Maybe not.
I probably
Still
said
it.
Oh, Wayne's on it. His video's not on. Oh, said somebody just say something?
I just said something about Meisner's saying cry and then act. What is it? Cry.
I don't know, but here's what I'm going to ask you all to do is to say, I did this with somebody else once, is to say, because we could use it as a plug, we're going to say, it's an Italian thing. No, it's a Black thing. We're going to say it in unison, right? I go at 3. Is that an all right way to end, Eliza and Wayne? Wayne, give me a thumbs up. Is that okay? And come to their readings every Sunday, 3:00. Okay. 1, 2, 3. It's an
It's an
Italian
Italian thing.
No,
No,
it's a Black
Black
thing.
thing.
All right, bye everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Good night.
The guy, what's his name?